Microphone.
Yeah.
I'm hard of hearing, I talk loud anyway.
Can everybody hear?
Yeah.
Everybody hear me? Alright. They only allotted me 20 minutes, I got 25 pictures to show. So any questions will have to be made afterwards. I will stay around and you can ask me any questions. So we'll get started. Main Street. You're coming down Shreve Ridge here. You turn and go to Main Street. That's Main Street in Lincolnville. Now a little bit how my people got here. On the Obert side, Philip was born in 1819 in Germany. As a teenager, he immigrated to the United States. He left his sweetheart. This is a love story. He left his sweetheart in Germany. And he says, I'll come back and get you someday and marry you. He went down and worked in the coal mines, worked his fingers to the bone in the coal mines, got enough money, came back to Germany, married Sinsel. Did you ever hear that name? I'll bet it's a German name. What do you think? Sinsel. S-I-N-Z-E-L. Married her, brought her back. They settled where the Range Road and the Wilkins Road meet. It used to be called Obert's Corners. I don't know if it is anymore. And I got an idea why he went back and got her. They had 11 children. The 8th child was Charles, and he settled in Lincolnville. He built a house, a cheese factory, and a feed mill. And he married Sarah Lafferty, and they settled in Lincolnville in the early 1880s. Now, the nice part about this was the other side of my family tree, the Ranges, were already living in Lincolnville, and they welcomed them. So that's how far back my credentials go. And if I totaled up my grandmothers and my great-grandmothers and grandfathers and great-greats and everything else, and I got a total of 492 years that my grandparents have lived in Lincolnville. My grandmother was born and died in Lincolnville. She was born on the, if you turn and go toward Brown Hill, the second house. And I hope it looks better than it does today. I went by it the other day. She was born, and later on in her life, she had to go get a birth certificate, and these people that lived there had to swear when she was born and everything, because she was born midwife. Now, my grandfather, Elmer Obert, was delivered by Dr. Payne from Riceville. He's on the board at Elmwood Park. That's another story, and we don't even want to talk about that. And he was born and died in the same house. And so on and so on. Right there is my great-great-grandfather. I tried to date this picture, and the way I can date that is he died in 1919. Well, he's on his feet there. So before that. That is my step-great-grandfather, Charles Cummings. Now, anything I tell you today, I can document. This is a historical society, and that's the way it should be, documentation. That horse, his name is Dewey. Documented by his daughter, Lena Cummings Lynn. All right? Now, this is the feed mill. This building, at this time, I don't know what it was. Later on, it was a restaurant. This is Green's garage. There's a woman sitting out in the audience that was raised right upstairs here.
Green's garage.
She went to school at Bloomfield, and she spent her early years there in Green's garage. Sidney Green died in 1946. Raymond Green took it over after that. And several of the Green families lived up there. Raymond's sister Ruth lived up there. And matter of fact, Ruth's son, they're having a funeral for him today in Union City. And after that, Jim Green and his first wife, Carol, he had two wives, Carol, he didn't get in any trouble. They lived up there. If you look up here, this house up here, there's a guy in here that his dad cut hair in that house. Barney Wellman cut the hair, Baxter Wellman's dad. All right, on to the next picture. We'll see the other side. Oh, there's got to be another one besides that. That's C, A and B.
That one?
No, back. You've got to go back. Back.
No, B's missing. Just jump to C. Yeah, we're missing one.
I guess we're missing B. B was showing the other side of the family. This is the hotel. My great-grandparents owned that. Later, my great-grandmother owned that. And to date that, there's Norma Lynn right there. I'd say she's about 8 years old. She was born in 1904. So that's a pretty early picture of that hotel. That was on the corner right here. Jesse,
Flat.
what's her name now?
Woodward.
All right. Has her horse farm there. That's where the hotel was. All right. Now, my mother talks about it would be in when she was a teenager, she would go up and help them up there. And they sold chicken dinners for $1. That included your beverage and your pie and linen tablecloth and linen napkins. Now, what a mess that'd been Monday morning with no laundromat. And later on, when the Ranges died, my great-grandmother, Elva Cummins, run that, and up into the 1930s. Okay, we're gonna have to keep moving here. I got a lot I could tell. This is a butcher shop. That's my great-grandfather, Charlie Cummings. It was originally right here by the hotel. Later on, everybody here can remember that little building. It was across the road. Oak Danner lived in that house, and he was a justice of the peace. And he made that into his office for the justice of the peace. And that still existed, Kurt, into the, probably the 60s.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, there's people that remember that. All right, let's move on. This here, this is a store. This is a building that didn't exist. A few years ago, they had a land dispute in Lincolnville, and that was a township building. People voted in there. The Odd Fellows had their stuff in there, and they said there was never a building there. My brother is a supervisor. He says, "You got to look through your things. You got to show me that building." Oh, I had a couple of pictures of it. Well, there was a building there. This right here would be the restaurant. This is the corner, right? There's the store, and the building, and the restaurant's over here, which we'll see later on. Okay. That's a picture taken inside the store. That's my grandmother Hazel, and she wrote down everybody's name on that, which I have. And that would be in the early 1900s. That's my grandfather Elmer there. And she identified every person there but one, and I got that documentation if anybody ever wanted it. Okay. There's Paul Danner owned the store, and there's the Odd Fellows went over and got their lunch, and here's they had 4 loaves of bread. It cost them 40 cents, 10 cents a loaf. Pretty expensive, but if you read down here, they took up a collection. The bill come to 2 something, and they only got $1.63. They still owed 50 cents. But later on, if you read that, some guy come back and paid it. So Paul wasn't out anyway. All right, next picture.
Lincolnville Center, looking toward Brown Hill. Center Street.
Oh, okay. Looking towards Brown Hill. This right here was a drugstore. This is the mill. This is the drugstore. This is my Grandma Cummings' house. There's where my Grandma Hazel was born. And later on, that's where the Doubts lived. Okay? Now we're up here and we're looking down this way, the corner there. And you people have to date this photo for me. Look at the cars there. This is later on. That's the Cozy Corner Restaurant run by Myrnie Gilson. And you go down here. Now this is where the first McCrillis Farm Supply was. Don McCrillis lived above it, and McCrillis Farm Supply was down there. And then later, they moved over where the mill was. They tore the mill down and they built that cement block building, which Guzik has now. And so that would be the Greens garage there. I'd say that was the late 30s, according to the cars. The car bus, I have to tell me, okay. This is the feed mill. This is where Charles Obert, that was the 8th child of Philip, come and built this feed mill. And Dr. Gear's house was, the feed mill was right here. Dr. Gear's house was right beside it, and it was on fire. And they were passing water up to him, and you could even see blankets and stuff there. And the wood shingles got slippery. He fell and hit the wagon tongue there and was killed instantly. That is documented on this right here, which I'll pass around later. Okay? There's the McCrillis Farm Supply. That's where the mill used to sit. And Guzik, I think, has that now. Mm-hmm. That's the Grange Hall. I went to school in this part. The 3rd grade was over here, and the 1st grade was here. Union City School Bloomfield School run out of room, and so they went down and took 2 grades to the Grange Hall. And Kelsey said she went across the road from the school up there to the restaurant. What grade? 6th? 6th grade they had up there. Bloomfield was growing and running out of room, and they had to do something. But the 3rd grade and the 1st grade were there. Lori and Ann's mother taught in that 1st grade, right in that.
My mother did too.
Yeah.
So where was that school? Where was that? On the map?
It's,
The Grange.
it's still there, right there.
Oh, what street is that?
No, that's Center Street.
Oh, center. Oh.
You come up Main Street and you take a left. There's Guzik's building. Right here is where the restaurant was. Guzik has a yellow pole barn now. Well, if you go down there, before you get to the alley, there's an alley that goes through there, comes out Shree's store. The Grange Hall is still there. It's right there. Okay. Lincolnville Baptist Church. I can date that picture, 1909, because that picture come off on the postcard and the postmark is on the other side of it. That's before the addition. There's a long story on that. Reverend Abrams come to town in the late 40s, and he was a very successful preacher. They ran out of room, and they built on the addition as the Lincolnville Church is now. The addition was built on all donated labor. For the material, Reverend Abrams went over to Moore Street and said, we don't have any money, we're going to put addition on, we're going to build it ourselves. Would you let us buy the material over here? I promise I'll pay you back. Moore Street, the generous person he was, come over and get anything you want. They paid him back every cent. And I have documentation of everybody that worked on that addition. Reverend Abrams went all over the whole area and asked people to come down and help on that. Well, the next door neighbor was Elmer Smith. Elmer Smith had the most hours. Elmer Smith never darkened the door of that church. Joe, don't tell the Pope. Joe Miller built this church over here. He went down and worked on it. We don't want a Catholic working on a Baptist church. But he did. And everybody is documented. My dad had the next best hours on it.
Did any Amish help?
No.
There was no Amish here. The Amish got way left. No Amish here at that time. Okay. This is the ball field here, which would be right here, right across from the church. That's where the Lincolnville ball team played their games. Now this is all grown up now. If the people here know, there's Herman Wheat's barn. And that's the Smith place and the Smith barn, and that's where all the Wheat girls were raised, right in there. And later on, after the ball field was torn down, Pat Carter Foltz, she had a jumping horse, and they made that into a whatever. And she had jumps set up, and she would go and train her horse there. That's all grown up now. There's no sign of a ball field there. Okay? That's the Lincolnville ball team. They went undefeated for 2 years, and they were all people from Lincolnville. That's my grandfather there, and the reason he's got an E on that, he was playing for Edinburgh College at the time. And he was too. And these are all the Shreves, and the Danners and that, all local towns. Now, I hope I got enough time to get who their coach was at times. And so we'll move on. That's my grandmother's house right beside the church. She was a tax collector down there for 30 years. That's where you went and paid your taxes. You went in that door and there's a desk right there and you paid your taxes there. And I always referred to her as the first fire chief in Lincolnville. The church is right next door here. You could hop, skip, and jump to the church. Back in the old days, before we had the fire company down there, on the wall was the old crank telephone. When that would ring, and there was an emergency, no matter where it was, they would call her. She would go over to the church and ring the bell. Big old hay rope that big around. She'd ring the bell until she got everybody assembled, and then, there's somebody drowned up to the lake, somebody's house is on fire or something, and that's how they assembled everybody back then, because she was lucky she had a phone. Most of the people didn't have phone, and that Bloomfield didn't have a fire hall, they didn't have a siren. When the church bell rang, you run to the church. When Germany surrendered, my dad was in Germany. My mother was living upstairs here. We had to move in there. I moved in with Graham Cummings. My two brothers and her lived upstairs. When it come over the radio that Germany surrendered, she went on and rang the church bell. And Elmer Smith lived the other side of the church, and he was out shooting his shotgun in the air. I can validate that. My great-grandmother's diary says that. All right, we'll move on. That's the cheese factory. That's where Lori Rose lives right now. That's the next place. There's Grandma's house. There's the cheese factory right there. Now, that's the immigrant's son Charles come and built that. And he's the one that fell off the mill and killed himself. But he owned that, and he owned the house next door, and he owned the feed mill. There's another picture of it. That's that's cut off, but that's him standing right there. So that he died September 12th or 13th, whatever you want to call it. There's some discrepancy there because it was about midnight when he fell on the wagon tongue in 1912. So that picture there is the cheese factory before the 12. After he died, my great-grandpa Elmer ran it for a while, and then my great-grandmother still stayed in there after her husband got killed from 1912 to 1950. She lived upstairs here. No running water. She had to carry water up that stairs to get her water up there. Okay, we'll have to move on here. That's a Bloomfield school picture. And
Where was that?
that's the early school before the new one was built.
Where is
On your map, where was it?
Oh, that's right here. We've come up here the cheese factory, and we turned and we're going down Chestnut Street towards the rice field. And the school was there, and another picture. There's the new school. That's the
49.
49. That's a graduating class of 49. And the last graduating class was 53.
Is that building still
53.
there?
No.
52. 3.
That's a nice
52,
building.
53.
53. All right.
No.
No.
And that's across the road. That's in that building there. It's still the home ec building that they called that. The home ec and the FFA had a building across the road. That would be right here. Okay. There's another picture of the school.
Wrong way. Wrong way.
All right. This is down here, and we're looking up, and I think they call that Fultz Avenue now. That's the Ace Shreve store up here. This is where the Reeds live now. Now, if you look closely here, we're going to have another picture of this building here. There was a little hotel up here. There's the big hotel. We're looking back towards we're looking towards this hotel right here. There's a little hotel there, and there's a lot of history in that little hotel. And that there is Higgins Garage. Now, Higgins Garage, they repair vehicles and such, but the upstairs, at one time, they had dances up there, kids skated up there, and they even played basketball up there. Lincolnville had a good basketball team, and they were called the Spark Plugs. Okay, we'll move on now. There's Shree's store, very early Shree's store. You notice there's no gas pump there yet. So all there is a hitching post there. There's the gear house where Pug is going to speak later. That's where she grew up. And there's the hotel up there.
So there's nothing left there except for the Shreves.
Nothing. No, none of these buildings are in existence anymore.
The Shreves.
What?
Shreves,
The Shreve store is in existence. And Pug's house. But other than that, now this is that little hotel I told you about. Now, this will be very interesting to Reverend Willard is here. He's from Pittsburgh and a Pirate fan.
Honest Wagner was a jerk.
That man sitting in that hotel down there in Lincolnville. That's Honus Wagner.
He was awesome.
He coached,
I watched all his movies.
he had some relation south of Lincolnville, and when he come up to see them, he would go down and coach the Lincolnville ball team. That's why they were so good. He was put in the Hall of Fame with Babe Ruth and all these people here. And that's him sitting there with Lee Danner, Blanche Danner's husband. And I don't know if you've ever been there, Rob, they have a little museum for him down there at Carnegie.
Huh. I will now. I'm going now.
Huh? Well, you go down and I'll give you some stuff to take down and to see if they knew it. He'd come up there and coach the Lincolnville ball team.
Okay.
And they told about there's a great rivalry between Lincolnville and Union City. Union City had a ball team and Lincolnville just beat the tar right out of them. So they went down to Pittsburgh and hired from the Pirates a pitcher and catcher. They said, that's all we need to beat Lincolnville, pitcher and catcher. And we'll fill in with our team. And in order to be legal, they put them on the payroll, put them up in Union City for 2 weeks. Well, they had the big game up there. Lincolnville won 6-2. All right.
And we're done.
That big guy in the middle is
That's the
the
last one?
Yeah, that's Honus Wagner right there.
In the middle or on the end?
The middle.
Middle.
Middle right there.
Big.
That's your last photo.
That's
That's
the
it?
last
All right.
picture. See him a little closer. There he is.
The only thing I'd like to say today, I think this is a good thing to have a historical society and everything. And they're even talking about making a little museum down in Lincolnville if they can and everything else, and that'll be good. But I want to warn you, everything I've said today, you can take to the bank. because I either have documentation at home or I have a picture for it. Now, when I read some of these articles that you people put on Facebook and everything else, they're not true. A lot of rumor in there.
You know, I know that a lot of the Pittsburgh papers
Yeah,
used to
and you
contrive all
you
kinds of
cannot do
things about our
that. If you're
area.
gonna start a historical siting, and you should have everything documented, or else it's bullshit. Right?
Yes, way to go. And that's what we're striving.
And I don't wanna, I picked up a copy when I was going through this to make this presentation of the Cando Lake Breeze. I read the first page and I found 3 things that were wrong. And when you publish that stuff, and then it gets passed down, and this person has it, pretty soon it's fact. It's not fact unless you can document it. And I challenge you to document everything you put in that museum. Oh, I got a question here. When we had the school there, I was gonna bring this up. Who was the mascot of the Bloomfield School? Huh? Anybody here know? You know, the Union City are the Bears, the Townville are the Tigers. This should go in the museum. Union City, or Bloomfield was Bobcats. That's my brother's letter that he earned in basketball in 1952.
Thank you.
And you notice my pointer was A. Streven's son. I say there's probably a lot of questions. I don't know, my 20 minutes probably ran over, huh?
Yeah, but we're gonna take questions after.
Yeah,
We're gonna leave
that's
Gayle
what I
go.
said. I'll be here after if somebody wants to ask questions.
We're gonna have this stuff up here too, so you can look at it, so.
I wanted to just see if anybody was paying attention. What was Charlie Cummins' horse name?
Dewey.
Oh, thank you.
On behalf of the Historical Society, we thank you for your very well documented things. And this is our certificate of appreciation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dale. Very nice. Which one are we at? Okay. Eleanor's gonna use the microphone too. I mean, Gayle, I do this all the time.
Most people know me here as Puggy, so they don't know me as Gayle. I went to school and I didn't know my name. I didn't write Gayle, I just I know who that was. Thank you, Gayle. Thank you. A lot of the stuff he said, I have for something similar, but I have to read.
What is your name?
Gayle Amann, I'm Eleanor Deer's daughter, but I was growing up as a Pug in Lincolnville. And I have to read it because I want to be sure I get everything all straight. And just to let you know, a tract of land is 640 acres. It's a tract of land. And a large tract of land is 1,000 acres. And Bloomfield was named after the earliest permanent settler. It's Thomas Bloomfield. He's born in New Jersey. He's a very wealthy man. He came here to French Creek in 1797. In the following year, he brought his wife and 9 children. He had 1 tract of land for himself, 1 tract of land for his underage son, and his other son had a tract of land, and so did his son-in-law, and they all were about the same, in the same area. Now that was called Bloomfield, and the cellar up by Shreve Ridge, and on tract number 112, he built a church and a small cheese factory, but that didn't last very long, and that went under. And so 4 more guys came in, and they had a bunch of cows, and they had a cheese factory, and they had a press mill, and then they had 15,000 pounds of milk a day. Now, I had to read this twice. You realize how many cows we have to have I think it's a misprint, but that's what it said. And I read where Tilson Corners had a post office, and later they moved it down in West Bloomfield, and then later to the hotel Dale was talking about in Lincolnville. Lincolnville was settled by Seth Lincoln in 1837. He was a forester from Massachusetts, and I never did find out how much land he had. But he had a sawmill and a grist mill on Oil Creek, and later he was drifting a load of logs down Oil Creek, and he fell off and drowned. His son Seth laid out Lincolnville more or less, and the Lincoln House, as you go right down this road to the stop sign, and there's a White House on the left, and that was the Lincoln House. And every generation of the Lincolns lived in that house. And Dale's my brother went to school with the twins, Cecil and Charles, and there's also Rose. And Chuck, we go call him Fritz. He passed away a couple of years ago, and Rose passed away. She married a McGee from Union City, and she passed away last year. And I didn't find anything about Cecil, but right now Chuck's stepson is working on the house. He's clearing it out and doing some remodeling in the house. But that is a house at the end of this road. Turn left. That was the original Lincoln House. And Dale told you about. Oh, I'm getting back.
No, you can.
Dale told you about Dr. Gear. That was my great uncle, and I have his doctor bag here. This is his doctor bag. It still has all the little bottles in it. I'm not going to take them all out, but I take out a few.
That's whose house, the doctor's office was burning when that mill was, my grandfather, great-grandfather was trying to save the mill.
Yep, that's the same place. Yep.
That's it. That burnt to the ground.
These are the more or less the enema bottles that we used to use. And this is another inner bottle. And there's a whole bunch of these little bottles in here. But you know what really fascinated me? The bottom of this is a little book. He had a Bible in the bottom of his bookcase. So that's Dr. Gear's stuff. The Lincolnville Baptist Church had its beginning in 1860s, and they met at either someone's house or they met over to the old school, which Dale talked about up in the corner. And then on March 12th, 1870, it was organized with 8 members, the Lincolnville Baptist Church. And Bloomfield had a church. Bloomfield had a cemetery, and that's the back of Lincoln's house back there in the woods. That's the original Bloomfield Cemetery, and all the Lincoln's descendants lived there. And the Bloomfield Baptist Church was up on Shreve Ridge, and Reverend Hayes was there. The Union Titusville Railroad, called Pigtail, ran from Union City, Canada Lake, right down in front of Lincolnville, and back of Riceville, right on down to Titusville. Ellie wrote a good story on that. And they not only hauled ice, because they took ice off the lake, but they hauled grain, and horses, and whatever else you needed, even people. And this is a picture of the last one. There's 2 pictures of the last one.
There was a siding right down over the hill from May Shreve and Son's store there, and they used to, my grandfather would get grain in, and they'd pull them off on that siding down there where the lumber yard was.
Yep. They even had a local newspaper for a while. Any idea what the name of it was? It's called The Breeze. And it started in November by E.P. Edson, and he ran for 2 years. And Mr. Rumpf from Townville he took over and he called it the Star. And it was published in Townville and printed in Lincolnville. And later it started, they changed it to the Shooting Star. Shooting Star. Now, the kids in Lincolnville, I gotta see the map. I just wanted to show you the doctor's stuff. Guess I'm not organized here.
Need this now?
Back in the day, when they had the school out in the country, the roads were so bad they had to have a kid wagon. So then the first one was the kid wagon, and then they would bring that wagon down to the main drag and at the corners and load the kids into the old buses. There's three different kind of buses there. Do I need this microphone? Can you hear?
I think you need it.
No, they need it.
Okay. I can't see what pictures he's showing.
Your kitty wagon.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, thank you. Because it must have like.
Okay.
Okay, I can walk now. The school was, oh, I don't know where I was.
You're at the kitty wagon.
I need to. Most of this,
You wanna go
Back
back
then.
to the kitty wagons again?
nope,
Okay.
they had, I want to back up to the, they had 12 one-room schoolhouses in Bloomfield Township. And they brought them down to Bloomfield.
Oh, there.
Take your time, Dick.
Okay, I just don't know where I was. 'Cause usually I was reading this. Now I'm really. Where's the school?
Would you like that one?
Yeah.
Would you like a different one? We have a couple others. This is
Just tell about the
1910s.
These are the old schools, the old one-room schoolhouses. There's about 3 pictures of that. And then, these are,
There's this-
that's his Grandma Cummings right there.
That's my great grandmother.
Sorry,
Yes,
I
your
just
great-grandma.
accidentally
Oops.
went backwards, sorry.
Go backwards.
That's okay. Is that the vocational school?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. These are the kids up to vocational school.
One room school.
And then these are one of the schoolhouses. And yeah, that's Grandma Cummings, his grandmother right there.
Yeah. That was a class reunion.
This time.
Like,
And then they wanted a FHA, FFA building, the vocational building, this when it was being built. And then that's it, and then it's still standing today. And over here, besides this is Gilson's ice cream place. And that's the picture.
And that's Dan Foltz,
Yeah.
right there, standing there next to it.
And that's Don Foltz.
Dan Foltz, yeah.
And that store that used, that little Gilson store, if the kids had to go to the store, they had to have a note from home if they wanted to go there and get something to eat, because we didn't have a restaurant, a cafeteria, you had to go there and get something to eat. Had to get a note, didn't you, Jim? Gayle. This is Don Burgess, Don. This is the kids during recess.
Let me go back one, Gail, sorry, here's the 1909 picture.
This was the old,
that's the old school.
the old school. They had 9, 10, 11, 12th grade there.
Mhm.
And my dad went to school there. I have his graduation picture up here. There was a lot of school information up here. And this is during a recess or lunch, because we didn't have lunches. We just packed everything. This is my dad at the one-room schoolhouse. This is down at Rookville, and you don't know where that is. That's where the roads are tore up now on the way to little Cooley. This is some of our teachers and our principals at Lincolnville School. This is the old school reunion, 1935. They had school reunions until the war, then they disbanded, and then later they picked it up. This is just some of the kids that graduated. That's Pat Carter Folks right there. She hasn't changed much, did she? And the first fire department was in back of Green's Garage, a little red building back there. And these were the officers, and my dad and the Bloomfield people had a meeting with Spartansburg and Centerville. And my dad came home and said that they had a luncheon served by a bunch of women called the Auxiliary. And my mother said, well, we're gonna have one too. So she got a hold of Henrietta Miller up here, and they started the Women's Auxiliary. You want anything done, you just get a hold of Henrietta, Doris Obert, Hazel Obert, the Oberts. They have family history.
Here's some of your names.
It's a lot.
Here's your list for the fire
It's
department.
up there.
Okay.
A lot of times, remember my dad my parents had a fur business, and Elmer Smith. I called him Uncle Elmer and Aunt Martha because he was really my dad's first wife's sister. And Uncle Elmer and my dad were in fur business for a long time. And that's when it was a really heyday. Everybody wore fur coats. You ever watch those old movies and all the women had these big fur coats? And this some of the furs that he had.
Hold on, give them back one.
That's okay. And I think everybody in Lincolnville worked for Morris Shreve one time or another, either hauling lumber or either in the store, and he had sap house,
Tapping trees, gathering sap.
tapping trees and gathering sap. And I think Johnny Suter run this tractor a lot, and Dale Burgess' mother and dad worked for Morris Shreve. My parents worked for Morris Shreve, all gathering sap.
And that was
We're down with here.
That's my mother. That thing was hot. You put the hot syrup down in the cans. You had to keep that sap going 24/7. That's a lot of work. My mother always went to auctions all the time and had the house full of stuff. We would have shows. We would go to different shows of hat shows, dress shows, and all that stuff. And this is a couple of pictures of her shows and her hats. She had 1,000 or so hats. And before she passed away, a woman came from California, another one came from New York, and another one from down Pittsburgh, and they bought most of the hats. This is just a sample of them. Some of the things we were dressed. And my mother is big on politics. And I have her came back there in a bubble. And this is what she got from Eisenhower, and they had a big talk, a benefit for him, a memorial for him. And she was always going down to Harrisburg for meetings. She was representative for the township. We're back up. We go. This is some of the stuff she had. This is the first parade that we had in Lincolnville. This is Robbie Thomas, his sister Rita. That's Pat. And Debbie. That's Yvonne. Robbie, and then that's Marilyn Green, and back there's Robbie. This is the second parade was in honor of I have it written up, down in Lincolnville, Moore Street donated a little corner of the property in front of his store, and it used to be like an honor roll. Everybody that went to the war, the names was on a little wall in little tiny letters like you put in there. And after a period of time, that just dismantled. And so they got together and they put a memorial down there now. And they had the guys come from Meadville and had a 21-gun salute. This is what it looks like now. It used to have all these little flags on each side of it, and they would show the flags represented what war they were in. But now they just stick them up there on the top and don't know where anything is. The Bloomfield School, when it was pretty bad shape, my mother went to the township building and asked what they're going to do with all the stuff that they have in the school. And they didn't know what they're going to do because they didn't have the room for it. And so my mother said, well, let's go get it. I just kept talking to my dad. So they went and got all this stuff up in the school. We got the pictures off the wall and then hauled them down to my parents' house. Even went upstairs in the principal's office and got a lot of the yearbooks, a lot of the pictures, and a lot of the stuff they had in the library, brought them down and put them in my bedroom, and either under the bed or against the wall, because my brother's room was full of hats and dresses. So there's no room. And then one time we're on the kitchen table. I learned more around the kitchen table. Probably nowadays don't even have one. And my dad said, I wonder what happened to all the kids that I graduated with. And my mother said, well, I don't know. We'll go find out. So she got on the phone and found out people. And they found 3 people with friends, and they come to the house and served pie and coffee. They had the best time. And then my mother's brother, Paul Blacey, said he wanted a reunion. So the next year they had one for him. Then my sister wanted one, Lorna. They had one. My mother said, well, we're going to go. This is too much fun to just have it at my house. And so she went to the township building and asked if she could rent the fire hall in August for a big reunion. And I bet all spring she sat and wrote out at least 400 or 500 postcards and mailed them out. And the first time they had over 250 people there. And after they all looking at the books, and they decided to have a meal, so they started having the dinners. But that only lasted about 3 years because it was just too much work. Everybody bringing the dishes and everything. Then after that, all this stuff was stored at the fire hall down in Bloomfield. They had it all on the wall, all the high school graduation pictures. And they have the second week in August every year, the second Saturday. We used to get everything off the wall and put tables against the wall, and then all the stuff from the school. And then it got so it was too much for one person. So somebody else took a job as making out the postcards and mailing them. And now they got the computers and they just whip them out, but then we write them out by hand. And then, so now Missy and Connie are in charge of the school reunion, and now I can just go and enjoy it, not have to take pictures up and down. And we're looking for a place to put the pictures because they're just stored up there, because they don't have them back on the wall anymore when they redid the Bloomfield School. And how many of you went to Bloomfield here at New England? You know, that was a family. I mean, we were a family. And my opinion, the worst thing that we did in Burgess City, they didn't want us there, we didn't want to be there. How many people say, oh, Bloomfield kids, right? Oh, little Bloomfield kids are here? Yeah, that took a while.
1950 or so.
Yeah, we were not welcomed. And I was going to talk about almost every church has a cemetery. And down in Rickville, they have a cemetery. Down in Mount Pleasant, they have a cemetery. Now, Mount Pleasant, Do you remember when William Penn didn't have enough money when the government didn't have enough money to pay the people, so they gave them land? Well, the Shreves got land clear up in Shreve Ridge all the way down to Lincolnville almost. And that's Shreve Ridge Cemetery's up there. The church is gone, but Shreve Ridge Cemetery's there. Ridgeville, down the way to Little Cooley, that land was given to my dad's side of the family, the Gears, and they donated the land for the church and cemetery. Mount Pleasant, the Blazeleys, on my mother's side of the Blazeleys, they got land from the Blazeleys, and they built a church, donated a church and a cemetery, and even down in Riceburg, church and cemetery. I had a lot of stuff to say there, but you know, when I was growing up, there's a couple of people in town that really, we never had a mayor, a so-called mayor, but you know who two people were really like a mayor? His grandmother. Hazel was a mayor. I mean, you want to know anything, you go to Hazel. I mean,
Don't cross her.
yeah, well, I was going to say,
Awful good person, but she always stuck to the facts.
oh, yeah, ooh, yeah. And she corrected my mother a good many times. My mother would say something, she'd, no.
No, that's not right now.
That's not
That's not
right.
right. That is what that would happen.
Yep, and my mother thought she knew a lot, but Hazel Hoover kind of, my mother came down here when she was 17. The first person to come to our house was Hazel Hoover. And she said, I want 2 pies and baked beans. We're gonna have a dinner. And my mother just kind of, she told me this, she just kind of stood there, and Hazel said, come in, and they helped make pie, and Hazel kind of took my mother under her wing, and away they went. But Hazel Obert, I think she kind of ran Lincolnville Baptist Church. Nobody did nothing without Hazel.
She was a deaconess.
Yep, one of the few women ever were deacons. She was an amazing woman. And I always call her Grandma Hazel because their grandma, it seems like their grandma's my grandma. And another one was Morris Shreve. He should have been a mayor. I mean, he helped more people that nobody knows anything about. And he did so much. And he was talking about what he did for the addition on the church. He was up there. He never set foot in church, did he? That I know of.
I'd rather have the money that was owed Morris Shreve the day he died than the money he had.
Yeah, he had shoeboxes of receipts and stuff. And there are a couple of people in town that he owned houses. They never paid rent. He never got after them. I mean, just like Dale said, that man was so generous and never. He was the kindest man I ever knew. He was a school teacher. He got his education in Edinburgh, and he taught school. And the kids ever had trouble with algebra or any of those, or some of the other algebra, whatever. Anyway, Morris Shreve would tutor the kids in school, and from school at his store, right at the desk, he had kids come in and tutor.
I'd like to say one thing. I see Joe Miller's granddaughter just come in here, and in my hurry to get through my 20 minutes there, the cheese factory, my great-grandmother, her husband died 12, fell off the mill roof up there, and she lived up there till 1950. 51, we had a sale. Joe Miller bought the cheese factory. Now, what do you suppose he did with it?
He built the church.
Built the church next door.
Right there.
Donated it.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
God bless him.
He was another one as a pillar of the community. You look, he
Yes,
was started the fire, even though he lived up here, he started the fire company down there, was in the start of that. And he was a very generous man.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was. And people always thought he was rough. I mean, he come out across rough, but he wasn't. He was just all mushy inside. He's a great guy, just like Morris Shreve. And
Property we're on right now, he donated.
Yeah, to the church.
That, you're
Yeah.
right.
There's so many people who were the founders that never got acknowledged, and I just thank God I grew up what I did, where I did, and how I did. I think they were the best of times, and our kids best of times. Right here, we don't have problems. I mean, and we're family. And I got stuff over the school here that I was going to talk about, but it's okay. It's just come up and show everything
Yep,
because
they can come up.
I
Gayle?
just love it. I just love it.
I'd
Thank
like
you so
to
much.
thank you. Gayle, do you want to come up and then we're going to field a few questions from the
right.
audience if there are any.
Oh, I forgot to tell you about the railroad. This was in our garage. How it got there and where it got, I don't know. And I'm not gonna say it came from that railroad because I don't know.
It did not come from that railroad.
And I don't know where it came
The
from.
pigtailed railroad was a narrow gauge railroad. And it's a lot smaller rail. Then
I
it's a
don't know
steam
where-
engine that run on a narrow
I
gauge.
know, she has something.
Yeah, you wanted this, Dale.
Oh.
This is, if you're, this I have, this is a different name.
Yeah.
So,
This is, the feed mill up there not only catered to the farmers, they sold cement and coal and everything else, and they ground buckwheat flour.
oh,
People don't eat buckwheat pancakes anymore, but everybody did back then. And there's an old bag from the feed mill. And another thing, Lincolnville never had a saloon in Lincolnville. But up over A Shreve's store,
Oh, they have pool parties.
they had a pool hall there. And now, I said I wasn't gonna say anything I couldn't back up, but rumor has it that there was a little bit of this going on up there too.
Yeah, there was.
There was several pool tables up there. There's still one in existence. Mike Megat in Union City has one of the best ones. And, huh?
from there,
Yeah.
you got A Street was upstairs.
Oh,
And the problem, one thing about this history, Lincolnville never had a cemetery. She talked about all the cemeteries. They never had a saloon or a cemetery. My great grandparents are buried in Union City, Roopville,
Yep.
Loomis Cemetery, town. They had to take them somewhere else, and that's hard
Yeah,
because you get a lot of history
Yeah.
out of a cemetery.
Yeah, the only cemeteries are Lincoln, are down in the woods.
Yeah.
Well,
There is down on Charlie,
Family
on the
ones,
cross place down
Yep.
there. There's still the gravestones down there.
Yeah, every year Moore Street had calendars. And I would have just a couple, and you always had a thermometer with a calendar. If anybody has one,
And you talk about the Shreve store is still standing. When you went in the front door, that was a grocery store. The back room, current back room was the only place they had any hardware. You went in there, and on the right was a soda fountain. Marble top. With about 4 chairs there, and you get ice cream, and you could even get sandwiches stuff in there. And then on the left, where Don Foltz, that picture of Don Foltz, that was a meat counter. They had meat in there.
And the big thing of cheese,
Yeah, and the big wheel cheese, yeah.
big real cheese. You just
But,
sliced it off.
but that whole front room was all groceries.
And they went to Heart's Content for 2 weeks.
Or longer.
Or longer,
Let
they
the
were
women
gone.
run the store.
And the women ran the store, and
They had a
used
camp.
all-
They had the second camp ever built in
yeah,
Hearst Content.
tell them about all around the whole building.
Oh, that whole building was all deer heads.
All deer heads, a couple bears, but all deer heads, all around the whole building. I was wondering what happened, but probably they're all in pretty bad shape by now.
do we have any questions from the audience?
Who owns Shreve's store now?
Nobody.
It was
Yeah.
just sold.
He just bought it.
Yeah, it's just sold, okay.
What's your name? Dale?
Dan, sorry. Dan.
That's how I saw
It's
it.
not, it hasn't been open for,
Are you going to keep it a store?
I'm gonna make a book store.
Antique store.
And there's still lights for the pool tables, the lights for the pool tables are still.
yeah.
Well, this is from somebody who doesn't, who didn't come from this area, but my husband and I have fathers on it. And it's very interesting to hear all this, especially since Lincolnville, since we've been coming up for 20 years, the only thing left there was that Shreve store. That's the
The
only
only thing left.
building left, and so it's very
That is the
interesting
only
to see
building
all-
standing of all the pictures they
Yes,
showed.
to see what it really looked like.
The Grange Hall is still there, the houses are still.
Well, the Grange Hall is still there. The Grange Hall in the
That's,
street.
that's where she lives right now, it's in apartments, that's where she.
We need to ask one question at a time because everybody can't hear. We have any other questions? This is the time, these are the Lincolnville experts.
The railroad, where was like the bed of the rail, is there any remnants of the old railroad there, or
The
is it?
railroad bed is still there.
The bed's still there.
But, and it runs right down through the valley,
And it followed the creek. It went down through the creek, and it came from Union City. Even at Union City High School, if you go in them woods in there, you can still see part of the bed in there, and there was a trestle in there. And if you go around and the lake going towards your property up there, you can see where it went across Bill Log Swamp.
oh, okay.
You know that road that goes across there? That was the railroad. And you go up further, you can see it. You can see it on the Shreve Farm up on Route 6.
Oh, okay.
Where did it come through here?
On the other side of the lake.
West side of the lake.
All right, that's it. If you really want to see the bed of the railroad, go down and take the road to the lake. And when you come up there to go down to the Fish Commission where you can dock, when you're going right straight on that road, and then you take a right to go down, right straight ahead is the railroad bed.
Very definitive there.
Oh, okay.
Chrissy,
I have a question, as a younger person, but I wonder, like, was Canada Lake like the tourist draw back then that it is now, or was Lincolnville, like, why did people come to the hotel?
When did what?
Why did
Why?
Lincolnville need a hotel? Did people come here?
Well, every little town had a hotel.
Okay, just because you
Yeah,
didn't
just because,
travel
yeah.
for.
They had a blacksmith shop and a grocery store and hotel. People couldn't go. I mean, Dewey got tired. We had to go curb Titus.
Did the people of Lincolnville, was it like its own center and its own with
Yeah.
Canada Lake, or was Canada Lake still kind of tied to, or no? There were people like tourists coming here and.
Well, on the
visiting?
train, there were
Yeah.
tourists coming from Titusville, because the hotel, George Eisentraut did the speech
Right.
last year,
So
was
they
the
would-
1800s.
There was a much bigger hotel up
Yes.
on the
Right.
lake.
So
up the
they
Ice
brought
Club,
it
so-
then.
So that was like a stop on the way. to
Yeah,
Lincolnville.
yeah, you could stop in Lincolnville and get out and go have your chicken dinner for $1, or you could keep going and go up to the big hotel where Eisentraut's is.
any other questions?
So
Yeah, do you have any documentation or anything of the ice house that was on the west side?
Not on the west side. I was in the ice house on this side.
Okay.
We're looking for pictures, so,
Yeah.
and one of the good things that we wanna do is we're gonna archive everything so that people would be able to find it easily. And then we're gonna go start trying to get artifacts, like all these wonderful things these guys have. Hopefully they will donate them to the museum. Our goal is to get a freestanding facility that we will keep these things climate controlled, and they will be lasting for generations, because as you all know, there's no place like Canada Lake.
Now,
So-
the ice house was still functioning in the
Yeah.
late 40s down there. They were still cutting ice off the lake. My grandmother lived in Lincolnville on the corner there, going towards Brown Hill, had an ice chest right inside the door. It wasn't in the kitchen and everything. And they would deliver ice, and if she put the money up on top of the ice box, the door wasn't locked, and then when the iceman come, he went in and put the ice in the ice box, opened it up, put it in the ice box, and took the money, and it was still functioning in the late 40s. They were still keeping ice down there. I was in the ice house down there.
Was that the ice house down at the lake on the corner?
Right on the
Yeah.
corner, yeah.
Yeah.
Across from
Right.
me.
Right
Yeah.
across from your place where the
Yes.
red
Yeah, it's a
cottage,
red cottage.
where the red cottage
You
is.
got it.
That's the ice house on this side.
Is anybody scanning this stuff into the computer?
Yes, we are, at Lake Canada Historical Society. Debbie Corliss isn't with us today, but we will get all this stuff scanned in, and it's gonna be available for our members to use, because we have a lot of expense. The software alone to get that done correctly is $800 for 1 year, so, but we have a lot. Yes, Ellen?
Tell them what the membership fees are, 'cause
Oh,
they're very
the
reasonable.
membership fees are only $15 a year. That lets you
For
have
an
free
individual.
admission to anything for one person. Family admissions for people in your same house are $30. And for 1894, the year of Canadota Lake's founding, you get a lifetime membership. So we appreciate everything, because we do have to buy a few things, including thank God for Ann today. She has a computer, we're borrowing her computer. Debbie, we borrow hers, and the projector we borrow. So, but go ahead.
We found a family picture from Baxter's mom, and on the back it said his name was Jules, Jules Shreve, and he did own the ice. She documented it on the back. He owned the ice house.
Oh, see, that's
So
excellent.
we want to make sure you
Yes.
get this picture.
Most of the
Thank you.
pictures I showed today are documented on the back of them. That's-
Good.
When we get the software, we thought about having a day that people could come in
Show
and
and
we
tell.
would have show and tell, but also scan everything so we have it. So,
Everybody know what this is?
That's your mom's.
Boy, that's a bubble, and Eleanor here always said that in the Lincolnville Baptist Church, because she had some problems back here, and you blow that up and it's like an inner tube. And one of the best things to do was to sit behind Eleanor gear and let the air out. So when she sat down, it was like a whoopee cushion.
Burgess kids. Oh, I can tell you about the Burgess. Down here. My dad built an addition onto the fur house, and he was building a cement blocks up. Well, his brother was always doing something. He took a coon, put it down in the hole, and the cement block. My dad continued up. My mother said, "What stinks out here?" He put a coon down in that. Another thing he did, my mother had a bell in the backyard. Had a big bell, and now his brother lived about from here to maybe over to the church, right? For my mother, he took fishing line. Go over to the bell, and he rang at his house. My mother go out and ring the bell, and she say, "Who's out there and kids?" And we go back in the house, and his brother said, "Ring the bell again."
Checking the monofilament line.
these are the stories we want to keep and record. See, it's really important. You had a question.
No, I didn't have a question, I just
Oh.
wanted to say that even though there isn't a cemetery down here, the Union City Library has many obituaries on their website. And Lincolnville people and Bloomfield people are on there.
I've got a
So-
bunch of them too.
My
Yeah,
mo-
so,
yeah,
you know,
I
if
think
you're
I'll-
looking for
They
somebody.
did, back then, people
that's
saved,
good
back
research.
then, people saved them. I've got my.
I have my mother's boxes of
Yeah.
Karen, you know a site too that you can find them. Karen,
She can't
what's
hear
the
you.
name of that site that you know about that you can actually look up?
Find a grave.
Find a grave, okay.
That's not a cemetery.
Okay, well, do you guys wanna come up and look at their artifacts?
There's a book here from the school.
I wanna
Somebody
thank
graduated.
everybody for coming today. If you have questions, these are the experts.